So Boaty McBoatface. I want to talk about Boaty McBoatface because it's both an inspiring and a disappointing story, and then inspiring again in a kind of strange sort of way. Because I'll just briefly go through it in case those of you who don't know it. Years and years ago, they asked the public to vote for the name of a new boat, because the kind of royal, HMS or RMS Victory or whatever like that, and they asked the public to vote on it, and somebody in the media or something jokingly suggested they call it Boaty McBoatface, and then that suddenly became part of the vote, and it got all the votes, and everybody voted for Boaty McBoatface, and that was kind of hilarious and brilliant and wonderful, and it just demonstrates the sense of humour that's behind all of humanity. That kind of idea that will just take the piss out of anything that's kind of too boring or ordinary or stoical or stuffy and all that kind of stuff. But then of course the people doing the poll, the people in charge said, we can't call it that, we've got to change it to I don't know what kind of accent that was. We've got to call it something normal, like HMS Victory, HMS Tosh, HMS bloody Lochin. So they changed it. I don't even know what they changed it to. I don't give a shit what they changed it to, because that doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that they changed it. And it's a wonderful thing that the situation happened, that it happened, and that people had the sense of humour to go with it and to run with it. And it's a terrible thing that they came in and decided, it wasn't dignified or whatever the fucking reason was that they decided to overrule the vote that they'd allowed the people to have. Oh, he's a kitty cat, he's a kitty. Their point of view, and the point of view of possibly a lot of sensible, normal, very reasonable people would say, well, of course they can't call it that. In a way, I kind of don't mind the fact that they overrode it in the end, but it's that attitude of, well, of course we can't call it that. Of course we can't call it that. Like it's physically impossible or something. Or like the world would turn inside out, or our brains would come out of our noses if we'd call a Boaty McBoatface. In a way, though, thinking about it, looking at the situation, I'm kind of glad that does exist. Because I think if we lived in a world where it was common for something as odd as Boaty McBoatface to actually happen, and for them to go with it and say, well, it's what the public voted for, we would live in a very insane world. And I don't think the world would be as funny anymore. You know what I mean? I think we're better off the fact that the people in charge are a bit kind of hoity and stuffy and unimaginative and boring. I think those people need to be up there. They need to be the MPs, and they need to be the leaders. As soon as you get someone wacky like Trump as president, it all sort of goes wrong. The world is perfect in that sense because it's still normal enough for us to find hilarity in odd wackiness. If the world was wacky, it wouldn't be as funny anymore because we'd be used to it. It'd be happening every day and it would become mundane. So I'm kind of glad that I get to complain about the fact that the world isn't more weird, because if it was, then that weirdness would be normality. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it reminds me a little bit of the Marx Brothers. Marx Brothers, comedy legends from 100 years ago. And their early films are really brilliant and they're really funny in it. And the thing about the Marx Brothers is it's basically three of them, and they're three wacky characters who invade a situation and just tear it all apart with their wackiness. And then one film they made was set in a circus. And some reviewer said it doesn't work because a circus is already kind of wacky and it's animals and it's wild and it's loose. And then you put these wild animals in with the wild animals, it doesn't seem so wild anymore. And it's like, no, you need to put the wild animals in somewhere that's stately or respectable so that they can rip it to shreds. And so I think that's kind of my point, is that I think we do live, or at least we used to live, in a world that's normal enough that things can still be funny. The unfortunate thing, I think, now, is that the way attitudes are becoming kind of ridiculous now. I mean, all this gender equality stuff, brilliant, great. The nonsense surrounding it. I mean, all this thing about, dead naming someone who's changed gender, and that's suddenly something you're not allowed to do, and all these weird new rules that come with people's choices about who they are and what they're going to be is wacky. You see what I mean? It's like all of a sudden we're expected to say, right, there are no rules in sexuality. You can be whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. You know, you can identify as whatever you want. However, in order to react to those things, there are all these fucking rules. It's like, why are the rules about something that is celebrating the fact that there are no longer rules? That's just insane. And I'm just a bit worried that the world, if the world gets too crazy, it won't be any fun anymore. Because crazy will be the new normal. You know, it'll be last year's black. So, Boaty McBoatface. And here I am with my big face on this video. I'm going to rename myself Facey McFaceface. That's me, Facey McFaceface, saying goodbye.